Bem-vindos ao nosso espaço, um mergulho profundo nos assuntos mais interessantes de esportes, ciências e temas gerais do momento. Aqui você vai encontrar conteúdo de qualidade, com análises empolgantes e descobertas fascinantes que vão expandir seus horizontes. Nossa missão é trazer informação relevante de forma dinâmica e descontraída. Queremos que você faça parte dessa jornada incrível de conhecimento e diversão. Se gostar do nosso conteúdo, não esqueça de deixar seu like e se inscrever no canal para não perder nenhuma novidade. Ative o sininho também. Aproveite!
If you love science, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have you ever walked out of a 3-hour intensive language class feeling like your head was physically bigger? That sensation of mental fatigue isn't just your imagination. It's the byproduct of a massive biological construction project happening inside your cranium. When we learn a new language, we aren't just uploading software to a hard drive. We are fundamentally re-engineering the hardware of our brains. This leads to a fascinating question. Does this new knowledge have a physical mass? Can we actually measure the weight of a new language? To understand this, we have to look at the brain not as a static sponge, but as a dynamic landscape of gray and white matter. Gray matter consists mostly of neuronal cell bodies, while white matter represents the communication cables, or axons, that connect them. When you begin to master the conjugation of French verbs or the tonal shifts of Mandarin, your brain undergoes a process called neuroplasticity. Specifically, studies using high-resolution MRI scans have shown that the brains of bilinguals and polyglots exhibit increased gray matter density in the left inferior parietal cortex. But what does density actually mean in terms of physical mass? It means that in those specific regions, your brain is packing in more material. This material includes new dendritic spines, tiny, branch-like protrusions that neurons use to communicate, and an increase in the number of synapses. Every time you memorize a new word, a series of proteins is synthesized. These proteins aren't magical concepts. They are physical molecules made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. They have an atomic weight. Therefore, on a molecular level, the physical stuff inside your head is increasing. Beyond the neurons themselves, we have to consider the support staff, the glial cells. As neural activity increases in language processing centers, the brain requires more energy and maintenance. This leads to an increase in astrocytes, which provide nutrients, and oligodendrocytes, which wrap axons in a fatty insulating layer called myelin. Myelin is crucial for the speed of thought. The more you practice a language, the thicker this insulation becomes. Because myelin is composed of lipids and proteins, this insulation adds a measurable, albeit microscopic, amount of physical mass to the brain's white matter pathways. Scientists have actually observed these structural changes in brain growth studies. For example, a famous study involving Swedish armed forces interpreters showed that intensive language learning caused specific parts of the hippocampus and the cerebral cortex to grow in size in just 3 months. While a control group showed no change, the linguists' brains had physically expanded. If we were to take these newly formed cells, the extra myelin, and the increased dendritic connections and put them on a hypersensitive laboratory scale, we would find that the weight of a new language is roughly equivalent to the weight of the additional proteins and lipids synthesized during the learning process. Of course, we are talking about a scale of micrograms. You won't need to buy a larger hat after learning Spanish. The human brain is remarkably efficient at managing space, often engaging in a process called synaptic pruning, where it removes unused connections to make room for new ones. This keeps the total weight of the brain relatively stable, usually around 3 pounds. However, the grammatical mass represents a shift in the distribution of that weight. You are trading filler or unused space for highly specialized, dense neural networks. Furthermore, there is a metabolic weight to consider. A brain active in a second language consumes more glucose and oxygen. This increased blood flow also adds a temporary, fluctuating mass to the regions being used. While this isn't permanent tissue, it contributes to that heavy, full feeling you experience after a long study session. Your brain is literally pumping more physical resources into the language centers to keep the gears turning. In the grand scheme of human evolution, The ability to pack complex linguistic structures into a small biological space is one of our greatest achievements. We have turned the abstract concept of meaning into a physical, biological reality. The next time you struggle with a difficult grammar rule, remember that you aren't just thinking, you are building. You are a biological architect, adding new floors and reinforced wiring to the most complex structure in the known universe. Every word you learn is a brick, and every conversation is a new wing in the vast cathedral of your mind. The weight of a language may be small in grams, but its impact on the density of our humanity is immeasurable. Our brains are the only places in the universe where a thought can become a physical object, changing the very weight of the organ that conceived it. For more incredible facts like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.